I mean to squeeze your cheeks, to force open your mouth. I am a river. You are my canyon. I mean to flow through you. I mean to subdue and tame you, my love.
Listen, this is so hard to try to keep quiet on a microphone while you are reading that poem. Can you give us some context?
Well, allegedly, it was written by RFK Jr.
Oh, God. And for who? Was it his wife that he intended it for?
Well, no. Apparently. Allegedly. Oh, no, I think we kind of know this now. Anyway, this story's been going around. This is a year-old story. The original story happened about a year ago. Olivia Nuzzi, who was a journalist with the New York magazine, apparently she had an emotional affair. I don't know. I haven't quite got
a romantic entanglement. We'll say.
There you go.
Thank
That's a good one.
Thank you.
That's a good one
Yeah.
because I saw her described as a well-known DC bust down, and I think that's just a terrible way to put it. So romantic entanglement.
She was a journalist who got romantically entangled with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. while he was running for president last year.
Correct.
Got it.
That's right. And as a consequence of this, it came out that this entanglement was happening, and she lost her job at the New York magazine. 12 months, roll on 12 months, and obviously now RFK Jr. is the Secretary of Health.
Now it's time for the memoir.
Yeah.
And time for the memoir, that's right.
American Canto.
So she's taken this year like wandering through forests, contemplating her navel.
She's been in Malibu.
What did you
She's in fucking Malibu. She's like, I immolated my career, but I'm just going to go hide out in Malibu and write a tell-all that basically tells nothing.
Yeah, I've heard it's really boring, the actual book. But anyway, she wrote the book about a week or so ago, a couple of weeks ago. There were sort of excerpts from the book that were dropped. And in response, her ex-boyfriend, who also is a journalist.
This is the messy. This is why I love
This
journalism.
is my bit.
This is why I love working in the press because all these people are so messy.
It's so messy. So his name is Ryan Lizzer, and apparently he's a well-known journalist and well-respected journalist as well. And he was dating her at the time, I believe, and he's come out with several Substack articles. And we're big fans of Substack. Just want to point out we have a great Substack at Distill Social.
You should join the Distill Social Substack. It's free to check it out, but if you want to support us more than that, you could go to distillsocial.com or substack.com and search Distill Social.
That's right.
Nice plug.
Ryan Lizzer,
we'll be getting to plugging.
He did his first Substack article on this matter, which is it was almost like clickbait, to be honest. So basically he sort of revealed quite a lot, including that he'd found this poem that RFK Jr. had written to Olivia whilst he was dating her. And
oh my God.
There were apparently references to felching. And the reason I bring that up because
hold on. This was in the notes from this week, and I was like, I don't know what that is. And then I had to look it up, and it is fucked my Google. Like my search is like, I got to keep this away from my children completely.
So
you tell everybody what felching is.
You can tell everybody what it is.
Yeah, go for it, Julie.
Well, I just want to point out, Pat, if you're watching or listening,
please stop now.
Fast forward.
Please don't Google.
Gage, did you just Google it?
Our producer
my God.
just Googled
it. Shit.
You can learn a lot by asking someone if they know what felching is. But actually now it's all gone. But actually what I did look up is the National Institutes of Health, NIH, right? So here in the United States, there is like an interesting portion of this because remembering that Doge went through every website belonging to the US government early this year and stripped away anything about DEI. Well, they did leave in
felching,
a definition of felching,
according to NIH,
which is basically it's a sexual practice involving sucking semen from an anus or a vagina. Anyway,
so hold on. So the whole, just to bring this full circle, there's a felching reference in the RFK poetry to Olivia. Or in their correspondence?
In their correspondence, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Do we know who was felching?
I have no not Douglas. I didn't want to pay the $10 for the next
fair,
article.
This is
fair. I'm just trying to get to the details.
this is not a family-friendly podcast. In case anybody listening
never
needs to
has
be
been.
reminded, I'm just reminding you that this is not a family-friendly podcast. The word pegging is also here in my notes as well.
Oh, the reason the word pegging is in here because once again, this is a holiday thing. This is what I did over the holidays.
You did
quite
pegging
honestly.
over the holidays?
You know what? I'm just, no, that'll be a hard no. But I do. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought.
It's already off the rails, folks.
It's off the rails.
Things have gone sideways.
Okay, over the holidays.
So over the holidays, we received a text. Adrienne and I received a text from Gina, which was a post by the Halfway Post, breaking news. A televangelist from Louisiana claims Taylor Swift's new album is brainwashing an army of young women and girls into feminist freedom fighters to someday conquer the United States and enslave all the men and peg them. So I found this.
Wow.
I found this kind of interesting and funny. But the reason I brought up both of those things is because over the holidays, I did send that particular post to a group text, including my mum, Pat.
Oh, no.
And said to
Pat.
her, please do not Google felching or pegging. And that was that was my holidays.
So, okay, just to, again, bring this full circle, right, is we have a primary main cabinet member, the man in charge of all of the health of the entirety of America.
Who does not have a medical degree.
Who does not have a medical degree.
Has never practiced medicine.
Not at all.
Is an anti-vaxxer and
Absolutely.
former heroin addict.
And in some way, shape, or form is into sucking stuff out of people's butts.
Okay. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
According to these letters that we
it
cannot
feels
corroborate.
on brand, swimming in fecal
In the poop-
matter
in the poop
and
river.
brainworms and all
But
of
you
that.
know what? Here's the thing I'll say about RFK, man, and why I think this is a man we should never listen to, is that isn't he married again?
Yeah, he's been married to Cheryl Hines
And didn't
since
his
like
first,
2014.
first wife really tragically take her own life because they were getting divorced?
I have no idea what that's all about. But
I believe that is what happened. And so, he need to be stopped. Put him away, because he clearly can't stop.
No.
He can't stop. He got a problem.
No. Yeah.
He got a problem.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, just keep butts away from him.
or whatever.
Welcome to America 2025.
Fantastic.
The weirdest, worst timeline ever. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Point of Disorder podcast. I'm Adrienne.
I'm Norris.
And I'm Julie.
So it's been a minute. We were all away for the holiday last week. Travel, illness has been sweeping through as well. And just, the general malaise of a Trump regime that we're in. But we're back and we're really glad that you can all be with us today. As always, you can watch this full episode on YouTube so you can experience the faces that we make when we talk about things like felching and pegging. And please, for all that is holy, podcast and do not pay. So subscribe, like, share, give us a nice comment on any podcast purveyor of choice. You can also follow us on any of our socials at The Point of Disorder, at Distill Social, and at The Guerrilla Politic.
Yeah.
So we're going to very abruptly switch gears here from pegging and felching to war crimes, because actually those things, maybe they feel a little bit related, right? Right? So pegging feels like it could be a war crime.
I mean, maybe,
It could be.
depending contextually.
Is it
could
in
be.
the Geneva Conventions?
Contextually, you should not do it.
You shouldn't do it
if you capture a city.
Right. Don't do that, right?
So I'm going to just bring us back, and I'm going to vote for you as the you are the best at doing these incredible introductions and segueing us into the next.
Segueing us into war crimes.
So, I'm usually fiscally pissed off, and I still am very much. Anyone that wants to talk to me about being fiscally pissed off, I own that shit. But right now, I am just fucking pissed off. I'm morally pissed off. Actually, let's call it morally pissed off. It seems to me that our foreign policy, the United States foreign policy right now, is made up of three things: murdering the poor, pardoning the rich, and blaming all of that shit on Biden.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or your lower ranking officers, as the case may be for here. So Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who I also like to affectionately call Secretary Talk Show host.
Or Secretary Jägermeister.
Yeah, that too. Oh God, Jägermeister's making me go. Ugh.
I can taste it.
I can taste it.
Yeah.
Too early?
Taking me back to my early 20s.
Yeah.
I can't right now. Anyway, we're talking about war crimes. So the last couple months, everybody's heard about how Hegseth and Admiral Bradley we've been quote unquote at war with these drug cartels, and they have been bombing boats in the Caribbean. So far, I think they've done 21 boats or something like that.
Yeah.
80 people have died. And what's recently come out about this is there was a strike on a boat back in September. And then there was an order for a second strike to kill the people who survived.
Yes.
Which, if that has happened, if that was the case, is in direct violation of international law, naval sea time law, and the Geneva
laws of the Geneva Convention, rules of engagement between combative nations, all that stuff.
Exactly. So Admiral Bradley is like the highest ranking officer in the Navy or whatever. Again, we're not a news podcast, just so you guys all know. But he's currently being thrown under the proverbial bus or the proverbial boat by Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth is like, well, I wasn't actually in the room, and it was like the fog of war, and I don't really know what happened.
So here's the thing. The long story short, the claim is that Pete Hegseth himself gave the order to
kill everybody,
eliminate the survivors of the initial boat strike. That is the illegal part, right?
Yeah.
Before we even get to answering why they're just bombing boats in general, you cannot do that. If you hit a target and the target is destroyed, that's it. You got to move on. If there are survivors, whatever. They're survivors. You got to take them out in another engagement. But it was alleged that Pete Hegseth made this order directly. And it's kind of put the administration in a tizzy, right? Because Trump is saying he didn't know anything about it.
Trump's like, the first one went great. The first one,
he's like,
it was lethal and it was fine.
And everything's cool. And then there's this really weird cabinet meeting where he's just like, we may have to go on land if we need to.
Yeah, in Venezuela.
Yeah, in Venezuela. And they're really kind of going all in from an idea standpoint on Venezuela, which, a lot of people are really worried. Like, are we about to go to war? So on and so forth.
But let's also not forget that the president of the United States does not have the authority by the Constitution to declare war. That is not his.
But he can bomb stuff.
He can bomb shit.
He can
but
bomb
he can't
stuff.
declare war. We can't just go invading Venezuela. Like, that's just not how this shit is supposed to work.
That's what they say, right? And I mean, listen, technically we're not supposed to bomb non-combatants, and yet here we are.
Yeah, I love the fact that you two are just so. I love the fact that law and order mean shit.
They don't mean shit to them at all.
It's
no,
like,
only the laws that apply to other people.
Correct.
Right. Only when we can actually use them. I don't feel surprised at all, one iota, about what is happening with the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. No. He's bonkers. He's stated, on the record, if our warriors are forced to follow rules arbitrarily and asked to sacrifice more lives so that international tribunals feel better about themselves, aren't we just better off winning our wars according to our own rules? So basically, rules don't apply to him. And that's exactly what he's telegraphed and what he said. He's also fired every JAG officer. Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't allow JAG officers in the room. Nope. And for those of you who don't know, what JAG officers are. They're the licensed attorneys. They serve as the legal officers.
We've all
in the
watched
military
JAG on
branch.
TV.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up.
It's the only
from,
reason I knew what they were.
CBS classic.
a CBS classic. Was that like the late 80s, early 90s?
It was the 90s.
It was the
Solidly
90s.
90s.
Solidly 90s. So
Yeah.
JAG, go back, you know?
That's how I know.
Yeah.
NCIS, all that shit.
All that.
Right?
All
right?
that.
So, like, of course, like, nobody should be surprised. The dude was on, what was the Telegram?
Well, but here's the crock of shit part about it. And y'all know I normally don't talk like that, but you can't claim that it's the fog of war.
You're in a conference room.
You are in the situation room. You have the most advanced military surveillance technology humanity has ever conceived of. And you are telling me
They're using drones.
that you're using drones that see the image in real time.
using drones.
And you're like, nah, man. You know what? He was too far. The draw distance, it was too much. It was a pop-up. I couldn't tell. Like, come on, man.
Well, first he was saying it was like fake news. Then he was saying, well, I wasn't actually there. I was in another meeting. And now he's saying it's fog of war. So he keeps kind of walking back everything.
They going to jail. Like at some point, listen, at some point, right? Like the other shoe has to drop and somebody has to be held responsible for something. I don't know if it is the president. I don't know if it's Pete Hegseth, but somebody
Call the Hague.
is going to have to call the Hague and somebody's going to have to go to jail.
The Hague.
Look, I would love to sort of agree because logic would tell you that, but I need someone to prove to me that there is a fucking rule of law and that there is a situation where people are held accountable. Like, I need that.
chaos.
I think as long as this administration is in power, it probably won't happen. But in whatever this area of the world, I don't know if it'll be a country still, but if whatever this area of the world is called by then, somebody's got to be held responsible for this kind of stuff because this is not the same as even what Clinton did in Kosovo, which was still very controversial at the time. But this was, a genocide happening to a group of people and, a war happening in that region. We're not talking about that right now.
No,
we're talking about a guy. We're talking about just a guy Trump doesn't like who's sitting on a shit ton of oil.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's the gist.
But
right?
I think what we do have to remember is, Secretary Jägermeister, I'm pretty sure he does think Call of Duty is a documentary. So we do have to understand the dude has got no grasp on reality.
The problem
as well.
of this is we can make jokes, right? But this is serious consequences. First of all, 80 people are dead. We don't know who they really were. We don't know if they were actual drug cartels or fishermen in the middle of the Caribbean. No idea. Under all these different pretenses, right? At least it seems like some of the Republicans on the Armed Forces Committee are starting to wake up a little bit and go, oh, maybe this is an issue.
Man, because somebody going to go to jail.
Right.
I did actually see that the National Review, which is hardly the bastion of progressiveness or left-wing politics, basically came out and said you can't kill defenseless people on the ocean.
Right.
So it's it is certainly going deeper. There is pushback that's occurring.
Well, and there'll be pushback because the old sort of hawkish GOP wing that used to exist in the 90s and 2000s, their whole thing was the rigid rule of law structure of the armed forces.
Yeah.
That's how they got the Army to be the Army, the Navy
Chain
to
of
be the
command.
Navy, chain of command, all this kind of stuff. And when you do stuff like this, you completely destroy all of that. And so a lot of these people who have given their lives to the armed forces, who have built their entire careers off being allies to the armed forces, they're seeing their work being dismantled as well. It's really hard for you to go back to your district and campaign on,
Isolationism.
being super down with the armed forces when people are asking you, why are we blowing up innocent people on fishing boats?
And we know we're in trouble when the National Review are basically lecturing us on basic humanity. I just want to point that out.
We in trouble.
Can I just mention for a minute the pardoning portion of it that I mentioned, pardoning the rich, basically? The president has pardoned, or is in the process of pardoning, the president of Honduras, who trafficked 400 tons of cocaine into the United States. I don't know if you saw this.
Oh, yeah.
That is fucking insane.
Listen, cocaine is a really big, economic driver.
No, because you have to understand. But see, you have to understand. Fentanyl, bad. Booger sugar, we're down. We pick and choose which drugs we're cool with.
Well, I mean, not. Also, like the fentanyl crisis was really, and the opioid crisis was really spread by like one single family, right? That in the pharmaceutical industry, like that, and no one's gonna see a day of fucking jail for that.
No.
But we have to talk about the math. I mean, Trump is basically going around and basically trying to sort of legitimize the fact that they're killing brown people in boats in the middle of the ocean. And saying that it saves 25,000 lives every time they bomb one of these boats.
That's
saying
25.
Math. That's the math. But the math, if you think about the math,
it's not mathing.
The 400 tons of cocaine equals 200 drug boats, right? And I went to public school in Australia, so not exactly.
I'm sure you can math a lot better than us.
Former CEO of a financial.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sure your math
Your
is
math
way tighter than anybody else's here. But
but I'm just saying that. So Trump has basically just pardoned a guy that killed based on that math, he's just pardoned a guy that killed 5 million Americans based on his math.
Great.
So it's like, and none of it makes sense. I mean, I know that logic is, I need to leave logic.
You got to leave
alone.
logic out of it.
I know, but it's it's
no
fucking
logic.
confusing.
Not in
Anyway.
this timeline. Okay, so the other thing I want to kind of point out about this, because I found out about this yesterday, Rachel Maddow went on Stephen Colbert and they were having this conversation.
Interesting combination.
I know. It was actually quite good. But they were having a conversation about the Five Eyes. So the Five Eyes are the countries that got together after World War II to share intelligence. Australia, Canada, the United States, Great Britain, and then a fifth that I can't think of right now.
I think it was France.
Is it France?
It might be.
Okay. So we have been
check.
sharing intelligence with these nations for the last, 80 years. And now because of these strikes, the Five Eyes are
Zealand.
like New Zealand.
Yeah.
So not France.
It was
Down
New
under
Zealand.
as well.
Yeah,
Down under.
New Zealand.
down under. The Kiwis.
It's the Pacific, basically.
Right. But they're now saying like, fuck y'all, we're not sharing intelligence with you guys anymore because of what you're doing in the Caribbean and what's happening with your military. So
And that's a huge deal because, that alliance is vital to
our safety.
well, not just our safety, but just the safety of the entire Pacific, right? And Australia and New Zealand have always been, as you know, great allies to the U.S.
Thank you.
I know we've given so much.
Yeah,
We
going
get-
all the way back to the the 1940s, and I think we're going to see this more. I think you're going to see the intelligence community start to walk back. You're going to see. I mean, the business community is already walking back because of the tariffs. You're already seeing, not companies not just laying people off, but also just choosing to not invest in the same levels that they used to
Costco
previously.
is suing the
Costco
Trump
is suing
administration.
the Trump administration. Like the foundation of America First with this party right now is completely caving in on itself,
And-
because you cannot do any of this stuff without allies. Period.
And I was going to say that this has been bubbling for a little while. I mean, I was back in Australia earlier in this year, in Liberation Day, whatever the fuck that day. What was that day
Oh,
called?
the tariffs
Tariff
Liberation
Day.
Day.
Yeah,
with this poster board.
And there's certainly a bubbling, not just within the intelligence community, but just within the community in general of like, America may not be exactly where we should be aligning ourselves right now. And back then it was a little early. It was, early days in terms of the Trump administration, but that's certainly been bubbling along. And there is a sentiment in the community generally that we need to perhaps get alternative friends.
Alternative facts.
And there's only one big old alternative friend.
And Australia's very close to
And
it.
China.
You hit it.
And I don't say that, lightly, but I mean, when you look at who would be in place to take over as a global superpower if America were to relinquish that space, China's the only one positioned to be able to do it. And you look at what they're doing in the global South in general, which is, dastardly in its own kind of way. But they are using and utilizing soft power in a way that
we don't have that anymore.
I don't think the United States would even conceive of or consider it.
Yeah, so, I mean, we could talk about USAID and all the soft power. That anyway, we got to move on. The point is that Hegseth and Trump are fucking all the shit up. So there you go. I do want to kind of come back to something that you said, Norris, about accountability and holding these folks accountable. Somebody's got to go to jail. Somebody's got to get punished. And there was a special election this week in Tennessee for it was Congress, right? Mm-hmm. A congressional seat, and it did not go our way. However, there were some interesting things that did come out of it.
Yeah, so the Republicans still walked away with it. It was a solidly red district to begin with. However, I believe the swing was plus 9 points for the Democrats.
In solid red
They recouped to almost to plus 9 in a solidly red district, and it was a very close election. And so with the eggheads have gotten together and put together the models that basically said if that performance is replicated nationwide, then in the midterms, the Democrats will have 250 seats in Congress.
That gives me chills.
End of next year.
Chills.
And the reason why I think this is important, even though it was a loss for Democrats, but the reason why I think it's important is because this was one of the most red districts in one of the most red states in the country, particularly on this side of the country in the South. And if that is what's happening in Tennessee, you can kiss Pennsylvania goodbye. You could kiss Michigan goodbye.
Wisconsin.
You could kiss Wisconsin goodbye. You could kiss
Nevada.
Nevada's
Arizona.
gone. Arizona's gone. The everywhere at that point. Georgia. It is something that I think if you are a conservative, you are in big trouble. That's why I think you're seeing a wave of Republican and MAGA retirements happening in the House and in the Senate. You're seeing people not register to run again.
Yep.
It's because I think if this stands to reason and if this continues on, that is going to get real bad for them. And this is, it may turn out to be like the wildest lame duck session, like the wildest lame duck we've ever seen. They're going to try to impeach Trump 1,000 times. Every month is going to be a new impeachment.
We can only hope. This is all I want for
But this
Christmas.
is just math. This is just
all
raw math.
Yeah.
Math and vibes.
Math and vibes. I love it.
Yeah.
Math and vibes. It's perfect. I mean, I think that, we're obviously in an economic affordability crisis in this country as well. And the economy plays the biggest role for folks who go out to the polls because, the three of us in this room are very, very overly in touch with politics, right?
Yeah.
The average person, friends of mine, people that I'm associated with, they're not necessarily paying attention to all of the nuance of all the other things, but they are paying attention to how much their energy bills are, how much their groceries are, how much their gas is, all of the things, the childcare, education, everything. So Trump had something to say this week about affordability. I think we should actually play the clip.
But the word affordability is a Democrat scam. They say it and then they go into the next subject and everyone thinks, they had lower prices. No, they had the worst inflation in the history of our country.
It's a scam.
It's a scam. Affordability is a scam.
But okay, so my fiscally pissed off hat comes back on. But he makes it sound like they're Walmart and we're Nordstrom. I don't understand. He's talking about it in a really weird way. It's like you have the worst prices, we have the best prices. What the fuck is he talking about?
Because he can only think of things in an adversarial dichotomy. He can't think of things in a way that makes it go, all right, y'all, so certain things are going to have to come up and certain things are going to come down.
But
But
he's-
overall,
Right.
we're going to be in good shape.
He's
No.
being crushed, though, by this economy, and that's why his approval rating is so
He's
terrible.
at 25% on the economy.
That is why this Tennessee special election was a lot closer than it normally would have been because of the economy, because of the affordability crisis that
always
he
the
has manufactured.
It's always the economy, stupid, but you can't. I don't think. I mean, that was on Fox News. That particular clip was on Fox News. So he's talking to his base, right? So they're all sitting there dribbling on their clicker, you know.
It's so true. If you ever sit and watch Fox News, the commercials are insane because they're just for like the fall things and like you need a scooter to get up your stairs and all of that.
Life alert.
Life alert.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Uncle Racist and Aunt Dead Insider sitting there dribbling on their clicker, watching this shit, and it's like they're falling for it for sure.
At a very high volume.
They're very high volume.
Yeah.
And they're falling for that shit completely. But it's like, so that does scare me on one hand. But on the other hand, it's like, surely, look, I spend enough time on airplanes and watching people watching Fox News, and it's not always. Like, there are younger people that are watching Fox News. And I think, are these people, like these people in business suits watching Fox News, are they falling for that shit?
Are they wearing
like-
leggings?
No, we've had that conversation.
We've had that conversation.
That's a separate.
They're not dressed up.
They're not wearing tights.
That's a separate podcast that I'm going to start. I'll be starting woke fashion
Woke fashion.
podcast shortly. But anyway, I just look at it and I think, how can you fall for this shit? He's talking about the economy is not, it's not like a game. It's not like there's a Democrat fucking economy and there's a Republican. That's not how it works. The economy is made up of so many different things. The prices on your that you pay for groceries on the shelves, the prices you pay for your gas, the prices you pay for your electricity, there are about 1 million different factors that go into that, from the fucking weather
But that's
to
that's too complicated for people. I need you to put it in. I need you to make it sports. I need you to turn it
Right.
into them, me, us, y'all. Like, that's what it has to be. So
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
And that's why this narrative, I think there are some people that's working on, but I think when you see him polling between 30 and 25% on confidence in the economy, that means the majority of the country is not falling for it. And majority of the country it's not working on them, because at the end of the day, they have to go to the grocery store and realize that my grocery bill is $250 when it used to be, $120.
But they were told, so here's the thing, but they were told that if they got rid of all of the immigrants, all of the undocumented immigrants, then basically housing would go down, groceries would go down in price, all of these things would happen. It's not happening.
Right.
Well,
and that's why you are seeing the flip, because to a certain extent, you have to know the wool is pulled over your eyes in order for you to kind of just move forward through life in this manner. But now, when you see what's happening on TV, you see the immigrants being deported, you see the tariffs in place, you see all this stuff. Based off Project 2025, his presidency has been incredibly effective.
Oh,
Exactly.
In terms
yeah.
of
It's doing all the things it
executing
said he
his
would.
agenda.
Yeah.
Right? However, the fact that it has been devastating for the economy and for the average American, people, I don't want to say are waking up, but people are going, you're not helping me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and
what
they've
it is.
started to even say that, like, you need to be focusing on the economy. I need help. Like, you promised us help. But if you recall from the campaign trail, there was never a plan to fix the economy. It was
to get rid of the brown people.
Get rid of the brown people and let's do some tariffs. It's
Yeah.
always just, I'm going to have there's going to be the greatest economy ever. And it's, stuff about grapes being cheaper and shit.
This is what happens, to your point, Julie. This is what happens when you boil down something like the economy to a us versus them narrative.
Right.
Because everybody participates in the economy.
All of us are
you
here.
can't just remove pieces and cogs from it and expect it to still function.
Yeah.
So listen, at this point, we'll see what happens. I think Tennessee was a canary in the coal mine moment for the GOP. I'm not sure if they do anything about it, but I think if maybe they come back to the table about the ACA tax credits, that will help them in the midterms, but they won't. They won't.
They're
do
gonna
it.
do
From what
that.
But they're not going to do
oh my
it.
God, from what I've seen, I read something that one of the ideas about healthcare was basically having it like having a membership with Costco, and that will cover your
Right. What do they want to do? They want to have like plans where you
Plans
like
through,
HSAs
like, Costco
or
and
something,
Sam's
health
Club.
savings accounts.
Yeah.
Oh, just
Oh my
HSA.
Like we're just gonna give you a health savings account.
These
Like
people
no,
suck.
not gonna be the
he
case.
just wants to give everyone so much money that they'll be able to deal with their healthcare. They'll be able to pay for it themselves.
Okay, Okay, well,
Whatever.
That's something we got to return to at another time. But so speaking of affordability, I don't know if you guys realize this, but Trump's tariffs are actually causing the price of weddings to skyrocket, by 20%.
They're already the most expensive thing ever.
Yeah, they're. I think my wedding in 2009 was pretty pricey. It was actually in a magazine.
Of course,
I'm
you were.
divorced now, but it was a really beautiful wedding, if I do say so myself. But it's like the price of a wedding now is even more obscene than what I spent in
That's why
2009
ain't nobody getting married.
in 16 years ago.
Yeah.
So I just think it's kind of interesting because there was a recent article that came out in Deadline Detroit about two state representatives from the west side of the state.
Yeah, so I want to pull it up so I get this completely correct. So apparently, Michigan Republican State Representative Pauline Wenzel has been put on record. This is a story from the Detroit Free Press that she accepted over the past few years over $20,000 in freebies and
From
perks and
lobbyists.
gifts from lobbyists. Part of which includes funding for her engagement party
Yes.
to another Republican congressperson.
No, state house
Or
rep.
excuse me, state house
So there's
rep.
these
Thank you.
two
Yes, thank
state
you.
house Republicans here in Michigan.
Yeah, the two state
who
house reps,
met
yes.
at work in Lansing.
As you do.
As you
Many
do.
people do. It's very hard nowadays to meet people.
That- that's
Let's put it
okay.
out
They did not
there.
meet on an app or at the bar. They met at the Capitol,
yeah.
right? And they decided they're going to get married. Great,
Fantastic.
good for them. Okay, but part of the issue here, I think there's just two issues here. First, Pauline Wenzel is like, nobody cares. That's what her statement is like. Nobody cares that I'm accepting basically bribes from, freebies from lobbyists.
No, you had it right.
Yeah. She something like
You had it right the first
95
time.
free things from lobbyists, right? But what's weird here is that the lobbying firm, basically threw a black tie optional engagement party for her and her fiance, Greg Van Workman.
So they threw the
lobbying firm threw
the
their
engagement
party?
engagement party. Okay. And the crazy thing about this is that Wenzel herself, she is the chair of the House Energy Committee. That's kind of interesting, right?
So was it
Because-
DTE that threw the
Hold on.
party?
Yes, basically.
Sorry.
So the lobbying firm, McKinley's firm, one of their clients is DTE.
Oh, fuck.
There
Jesus.
you go. But she doesn't seem to think anybody gives a shit.
Y'all,
Money out of
money
politics.
out of politics.
Snap. Yay.
Like, listen, here's a person who basically got half a year's salary over the course of a few years in gifts, freebies, engagement parties, whatever, to basically do nothing. Right? She then is accepting money from the people that she is supposed to legislate.
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily say against, because it shouldn't necessarily always be
Keep
an
shit
adversarial
honest. Keep
relationship.
it on the
But
up and up.
it is
Regulate.
difficult. Yeah, so
Regulate.
It is
Yeah.
difficult to regulate the people that are giving you copious amounts of money.
It's-
These are my friends. My friends threw me this engagement party.
Okay, Adrienne, if I'm sitting here and I gave you $50,000, right, and I just told you whatever I do with my little side chick, I don't need you to tell my wife.
Yeah.
Here's 50 racks though.
Well, first of all, you're not married.
I know, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like,
Right.
here's 50 racks to shut you
Right.
up about the dirt I'm doing.
Right. And what do? You just, I have integrity, so I wouldn't take it. But, You know what I mean?
Everybody got a price.
Everybody's got a price. What's my price?
Everybody got a price.
My price is a completely paid for black tie engagement party.
There you go.
You know?
And for a lot of people, the price ain't that high.
Right.
Particularly.
No, not in this economy.
Particularly clearly in the state house of Michigan. It is not that much money. But it's important to bring this kind of stuff up because when you have people that make decisions and they're getting money from these big corporations or getting dark money that we can't trace, it makes a lot of the crazy decisions that happen make a lot more sense.
Correct.
Like data centers?
Data centers.
Oh,
Here
look at
we
that
go.
segue.
Yeah. So speaking of DTE, as you all know, the fight for the Selene data center is still ongoing.
I don't think that everyone knows about it. I
Yeah.
feel like we're a little deep in it, Norris. We've
Yeah.
been covering it for a little while at Distill Social. I don't think that everyone knows, but it is. We are at the point right now as we sit here. So this record will come out on Thursday. We are at a really important inflection point in terms of Michigan. And this is like a 5-alarm fire, is that what you call it? Yeah, 5-alarm fire that we're at in terms of this data. I say data, you say data. It's like
all
potato,
good.
potato. Anyway,
It's all
okay.
good.
the data
I like
centers.
the way you say it better.
Okay,
It
all
makes
right.
it just
I'm just
sound,
worried that no one will understand.
It
but
makes it sound a little more insidious, I think, when Julie says it.
Data center.
Data center.
Okay, so basically what is happening is there is normally and I've got to get this right because I've been given my instructions on this, there is normally a hearings that are held by the Michigan Public Service Commission.
These
And
are
they are
open.
having
These
them.
are open
Open
to the public hearings where the public can make their concerns or support known.
There is one today at 6:30 p.m.
Yep.
It's virtual.
So there is
They can cut people off.
there is one on Friday. Okay. And the group that we're talking about right now, which is DT is involved with, which is OpenAI and Oracle.
Yep.
They are basically trying to avoid having a hearing.
Yes, because if you've followed data centers and their construction across the country, particularly there was supposed to be one going up in the UP or in northern Michigan, and it was met with incredible pushback from that community, particularly around the use of the natural resources. Listen, the northern Michigan is gorgeous. It's beautiful. And those people are incredibly protective of their lakes, forests,
As they should be.
rivers, as they should be. And there's copious video going around of this room of people basically saying, how many jobs is it bringing? And the data center people could not give them a straight
They bring
answer.
construction jobs.
There's like always
And
construction
that's it.
jobs. And these people are not dumb.
Right.
Like this is the thing. Like people are not as stupid as people try to make them seem. They were very informed and they went in knowing that these would be temporary construction jobs followed by maybe 25 full-time jobs on the back end. And the same thing is kind of like what's happening in Selene. Now, obviously, this is a much larger scale data center, but it's still going to require massive amounts of water and natural resources.
So let's talk about that for a minute. So one of the reasons that you need to have an open hearing, and we should have an open hearing, which these guys at OpenAI and Oracle are basically pushing back on, is that there are tax breaks involved in this, right? There's a shit ton of tax breaks that the government offers, and that's what's happening here in Michigan.
Particularly in Michigan.
Correct. In Michigan, this is a very, according to these organizations, Michigan is a very friendly environment right now to these data centers. But I mean, there are conversations to be had as to whether or not these tax breaks, for these tax breaks, there are obligations attached to that. However, the audit process of that, I don't know that that's particularly open to us to see?
So essentially, and we're very familiar with this, in places like the city of Detroit, where, somebody builds a stadium, they get a tax break for building a stadium, but now there's a community benefits package that has to come along with it, meaning you have to build housing or you have to provide jobs for X number of Detroiters, so on and so forth. The problem with these data centers is that they're not going to be employing people on the same scale as a stadium or as, a giant municipal sports park. And so people are asking the questions of how beneficial is this to our actual community? Yeah. And based on the numbers, not that much.
And also, the contracts that are in place are heavily redacted. So I understand so this is why an open hearing is required, because the heavily redacted contracts means that it's not exactly transparent as to what the obligations are by these companies and the relationship between them and DTE. The other thing, which I think is, and I'm interested in hearing your opinion on this, is DTE is saying that as a minimum, they're going to have to put in at least $500 million worth of power stations, basically the infrastructure, transmitter lines. Basically, it's enough power. This type of infrastructure provides enough power for a city population of about a million people. About a million people, right? But OpenAI and Oracle are actually going to pay for that, right? That is a part of the commitment.
They're going to pay for the construction.
Correct. However, but think about this, right? They're not putting down a bond. It's really just a promise note that we will pay for it. Now, here's the problem. OpenAI, Oracle, all of these AI companies at the moment, their prices, like their stock prices, are fucking through the roof.
They're like $1 trillion valuation.
Correct. And there is a lot of conversation happening, not by just us crazy leftist woke, whatever the fuck they want to call us, snowflakes, but by, Forbes, Bloomberg, talking about the fact that this is a bubble that's going to burst.
Yeah.
So when these valuations drop, when the ass falls out of the market, well, when the ass falls out of this market, who's going to be
responsible for this massive data center sitting in the middle of Saline that we can't use?
And these power stations and these transmitter lines, it's going to end up on us, the consumers.
And on top of that, it's already going to be left up to the consumers, because as we saw, they've already tried to put in a rate hike earlier this year for their airplanes, for their private jets. You think they're not going to put through a rate hike for the massive amounts of power that this data center would be able to take up? They're only paying for the construction. They're not saying they're going to cover the difference of what it would be in the cost of power for the rest of the Michigan residents. So it continues to be a sticking point for a lot of people, but I think not enough noise has been made about it in the traditional media and in the larger outlets, because ultimately people see billionaires putting money into Michigan and then they're like, oh, that's fantastic.
But think about this, right? When I was a kid, computers took up a whole fucking football field. They were massive, right? So think about that. And now we carry them around in our pockets. I have a computer in my pocket. So think about not just if it goes bankrupt or if, things go ass up in terms of the economy. There is a good chance that these data centers in 5 years' time or 10 years' time
will be a fraction of the size.
Fraction of the size. And we're going to be left with these monstrosities and this power infrastructure that we still have to pay for.
Yeah.
And they're not in use anymore.
And I think forcing them to be more transparent, to get out and to protest over these things and force them out is going to force them to have to innovate. Yeah. You want to do this tech. This is what you really want. You want AI to be the wave of where we are now into the future. Then you need to innovate on how you're powering this stuff, because this isn't going to fly.
No, it's not. And so there's hearings this week. We'll see what the decision ultimately ends up being. My money is on it's going to go through and it's going to proceed.
So I have a call to action. We need to. Today's Thursday. This hearing is supposed to be tomorrow on Friday. We need to do two things. We need to contact the Michigan Public Service Commission and let them know there must be an open hearing. There must be a public hearing, because look, it may go through. However, we need to spend these commissions or these hearings take up in these investigations can take up to about 60 days, right? Yep. So 60 days. I don't think 60 days is too much to ask.
Right.
I mean, Consumers Energy did it recently. They went through this whole process basically for a data center, and I can't remember where it was, but they basically did it recently. It can be done. So all we're asking is that they do the open hearing and do this investigation where basically we get to ask the questions that we're talking about.
Do you want that phone number?
We do need that phone number.
Yeah, if you would like to contact the Michigan Public Service Commission by phone, you can call them at 800-292-9555.
Can you repeat that, please?
800-292-9555.
So please give them a call now. We need to let them know. We need to demand that we have an open hearing so there's some transparency attached to this, because we don't want to turn around in 5 years' time and see that our entire state, for our kids, for our grandkids, is completely fucked up. The other thing I want to talk about, that we should be contacting our legislators. We need to make sure they stand up to this as well, because it's not enough just to we're talking about money in politics. It's not enough that we know that a shit ton of them take money from DTE, so they're going to be behind this, or they're going to be quiet on this. They need to also stand up against this. So even those that aren't taking money, I believe that there actually is likely, maybe while we're recording this podcast, that there is a letter that's being signed by some legislators asking for a contested hearing. So that I believe that is happening or has happened. But we need to demand that all of our legislators basically stand up, because, as I said, it's not enough to demand them to not take money from these people. They also need to stand up to them.
I'm going to want to point out, too, when we're talking about calling your legislators, it doesn't matter where you are in the state in terms of who your legislators are. Calling them always has a really huge impact. There are other communities around the state that are also looking at similar situations with data centers. It's not just Saline. So 800 acres in August Township near Milan, or Milan. Is it Milan?
It's Milan.
I like to say Milan.
It's Milan.
It's fancy. Howell. Okay, Howell in Livingston County. They actually approved a moratorium for 6 months after people flipped out because there was like 1,000 acres that they were planning for a data center there, and they're meeting on this coming Monday to basically rezone that area so that it can be turned into a data center. The University of Michigan is actually proposing 124 acres in Ypsilanti Township for a supercomputing facility as well. So these things are happening all over the state.
And so to not have a hearing on this one, so if OpenAI and Oracle and DTE get away with this, it's going to set a very dangerous precedent going forward, by which all of this stuff will happen behind the darkness without us being able to see exactly what those contracts are, exactly what they have planned. So it's incredibly important that we stop this one. These companies are basically steamrolling through Michigan government, and we need our leaders and our candidates to stand up and basically say, no, we're not going to allow this to happen. This is a really... Sorry, I'm a little emotional about this.
No, but it's a flashpoint.
It is a flashpoint.
It's a flashpoint on, not just Michigan, but it's a flashpoint nationwide. I mean, this is something that people have been trying to raise the alarm on for a few years now, but now definitely it's coming to a head because AI and OpenAI, Oracle, NVIDIA, all these companies have kind of been part of the lexicon now because of what's happening on the stock market, and basically our stock market being propped up by tech companies that are heavily leveraged into AI. So
They are, and not to mention the fact that all of this is likely to happen at a time when we're probably all going to lose our jobs because AI is going to be taking all of them.
Well, that's what's been happening, but they're not releasing jobs reports because there's nobody there to do the numbers. Oh my God. Okay, well, anyway, that's what's been going on with the data center situation and DTE here. Let's kind of move it along to something interesting that I know Distill Social, you guys had posted on your socials this past week. But Congressman Tom Barrett apparently has a fear of furries and chalk. So first of all, why don't we take a step back and talk about what constitutes a furry?
So, okay. I only know this because I had a friend of mine years ago who was definitely a furry.
Were they underground about their furriness?
Yeah, they were. This was underground. This was like in the
furry.
2010s.
Okay,
where people were very much so kink shaming was a thing.
Right.
We definitely shamed people for this. But if you're unfamiliar, a furry is a person who puts on, an animal costume,
Right.
An anthropomorphic animal costume, a mascot suit,
They
so
have
to speak.
they have like an animal avatar of themselves.
And they have a fursona.
the fursona.
They
Yes.
have a fursona, which is their furry person name, and it is a different personality. It's a way for people to feel like, I guess, that they could be more of themselves, but also
I mean, is it
furry.
any different than people dressing up and going to like Comic-Con or the Renaissance Festival?
There's a lot of overlap.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
lot of overlap.
I'm not yucking anyone's yum.
Yeah.
That is not for me. It is not hurting anybody.
No.
What any of these furry people do. I mean, my kids come home from school and talk about the furries in their classes. These are the kids who wear tails and ears and maybe meow and shit. Whatever you're into, it ain't hurting anybody. And that's what I've told my kids. They're not hurting you. Who cares?
Who cares?
Let
right?
it fucking go. And
apparently, Tom Barrett, who is a U.S. representative from Michigan, Republican Tom Barrett,
Congressman.
puts out this
a fundraising email.
fundraising email that says the furries are coming for me.
that was the subject line.
Because running against him in his seat is a Democratic, or I think they're running as a Democrat, a Democratic furry person who is also a veteran.
He's a veteran.
Small business
I
owner.
do love that, actually.
Right.
There's something
Yeah.
about this story, actually.
His
really
persona
love.
is Elion Badger, and he dresses as a badger.
His real name is Samuel Smeltzer.
yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot what's on the ballot though.
But this is the thing is they like
Elion Badger might be
I
on the
think
ballot.
Elion Badger is on the ballot.
Yeah.
But this is the thing about the GOP and like Republicans like Tom Barrett. They're just such a bunch of fucking snowflakes. Like we're gonna marginalize people and we're gonna use them as the enemy and we're gonna make you fear them so that you fill my coffers for my fundraiser, first of all. And we're gonna make you afraid of them. And they've been saying for years, like, teachers are allowing kitty litter in the classrooms for furries, which is not the case. That's been debunked. Schools in Colorado have litter in their classrooms in case of a lockdown from a school shooter.
And kids can pee.
So that, because you can't get up and go to the bathroom.
We just repeat that.
Yes.
Classrooms have to have
kitty litter
in
case of a school shooting.
Thank you.
Yes.
We need to remind people that is happening.
This is the
this
only
is-
place this happens, everybody.
This-
We need to double reiterate. Okay? Think about the full circle nonsense.
Yeah.
Right? You got a party who doesn't want to get rid of guns. So then crazy people get guns and then shoot up schools. And then the kids are locked down in the schools and now have to pee in the classroom because they've been locked down in the classroom. But now we're going to use the litter boxes in the school to marginalize the furries.
Right.
So we can now get people who don't like furries and don't like
gonna
any sort of
just demonize people.
any sort of difference or sexual fetish, and then move that up to the top of the full circle to get you to support the people who don't want to get rid of the guns.
Yes.
Norris, that is so beautifully put.
Thank you.
We did
The
it.
circle of shit.
I think the first Trump rally that we went to, we interviewed somebody who was this particular video went very viral at the time, and this woman was dressed head to toe in this like American flag costume. She looked like American flag tights, actually, by the way.
Oh, okay. Leggings.
Leggings.
Yes, leggings.
Yeah, yes. At any rate, and
That's cosplay too.
It was cosplay. It was complete
100%.
cosplay. And she
You're wearing the
literally-
fucking flag.
She was literally standing there and
I wanna
telling
outlaw
me
that.
the biggest problem, the reason she was supporting Trump was because of the furries. And this is like several years ago now because of the furries. And so that particular video went absolutely viral. So this
They're
is the
eating
thing
the
they've been
cats.
talking-
They're eating the
Why
dogs.
is one party so concerned about what people do
I
in
know.
their own bedroom?
It is
I
in their own
know.
homes, just in general. Like it doesn't affect you.
I don't care.
Mm.
I don't care.
Doesn't hurt anyone. It doesn't affect anybody. Like who cares? Why you got to police everybody's personal decisions?
Like, okay, here's how I feel. If I'm at a rally, right, which, you go to a rally, you go to a sporting event, you go to whatever, you go to a place where there's just a bunch of people and you see somebody wearing a furry costume. That scares
That
you?
sounds
That's
really
scary.
warm
There wasn't even someone wearing a furry costume. She was talking about she's worried about schools. She's heard that there were furries in schools, which meant that public schools were going bad because there was furries in every school.
That seems to be that's such a huge leap. I mean, every generation of kids in schools has their kind of odd ducks.
I kind of was just about to bring this up, right? Which is funny, right? Because everybody's gone to school. Everybody knew a gay kid in school.
Of course.
Of every generation.
I went to school in
everybody knew
I went to
a
school in the
weird kid.
70s. The 70s.
That's what I'm saying.
People weren't out of the closet, let me tell you.
They weren't out of the closet in the 90s when I was in high school.
But you knew.
But you sort of
But
knew.
you knew.
But there were people who came out later that I was like, oh, wow, I had no idea.
But I'm saying there's at least one kid everybody already knows.
Sure, but there's also the kids that are just kind of strange.
Yeah.
Like they do weird things.
My point is that you're scared of a thing that you yourself have already lived through and you are semi-well adjusted. Not this lady. But I'm saying you're semi-well adjusted. Yeah. You have gone to school with gay people. You have gone to school with bi people. You've gone to school with furries.
But it just comes back to they need to. This is the GOP and the Michigan GOP, I have to say, everyone needs to remember, we get distracted once again all the time by Trump and Hegseth and his merry men like the fucking clown car full of God knows what. But we have to remember that our Michigan GOP is pretty radical and they lean on this culture war stuff constantly.
Yeah.
They
it's
absolutely
distraction.
do.
We all know it's as distraction from their terrible, shitty policies that actually hurt people.
Correct.
I do want to also bring up the fact, we don't have to belabor this, that Tom Barrett flipped out because a bunch of protesters showed up at his Lansing office with chalk and were chalking messages saying one term Tom, don't let kids starve, Tom, grow a spine, help us afford to live. One note had a heart and it said, I found you a heart, Tom. In chalk, okay? So he went out and basically tried to say that these protesters were vandalizing their property and that they should all be arrested.
For people...
Snowflake.
Y'all are the softest people on the planet. For real. I'm sorry. It's soft. It's soft. And you just make yourself look like just the most fearful, cowardly people on the face of the planet. Oh my God, they're chalking in front of my office. I can't even get out of the parking lot. What to do? Come on. For real, vandalizing is chalk.
You better tell these 5-year-olds with chalk that they better move along.
I listen, at the end of the day, for me, it's look, is the campaign email kind of funny? It's kind of funny. But also at the end of the day, to your point, Adrienne, you hit the nail on the head, is you immediately went to marginalization mode.
Yeah.
You immediately was like, how can I make fun of these weirdos?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's the MO. But
those are the bullies in all of the 90s movies. The bullies that you wanted to punch in the face because they were constantly punching down.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this is, this punch down mentality.
But in those movies, the bully always had a weird thing they were into that they knew they would be bullied for.
The other thing about this is methinks one doth protest too much.
Exactly.
What's going on in your house that you feel like you got to police everybody else?
Right, because secure people don't give a damn about what other folks is doing in their house.
Whatever you're up to with your pegging and your felching.
Enjoy it over there and have a great time.
Oh, shit,
as long as everybody consents, we're great.
Yeah, consent is key.
Anyway,
well, you know what?
Hey, I think about often what you say, Adrienne. I can't do a segue like you can.
Yeah.
But you talk about that we're in a simulation right now.
We are.
I've decided after all the shit that gets thrown at us every day that there is a raccoon that is running that simulation.
Trash panda.
And the raccoon is. I don't know if you've seen this,
panda.
but my social media has been throwing me constantly this fucking raccoon, which was recently invaded a liquor store and passed out in the loo, in the toilet.
You need to send me this.
I'm going to send that to you because, well, let me tell you, it keeps coming up on my feed, and not only is it coming up on my feed constantly, in my Instagram feed, my family and friends are sending it to me saying, oh, it's you and my husband.
Stop.
They're
So
calling
I'm
you
just
a trash panda
They're
that
calling you
broke
a
into
drunk,
liquor store?
a drunken trash panda.
I sent you the fat marmot the other night.
I know, I do love
Fat
that.
marmot from the
Do love
National
that.
Park
we do
Service.
love our furry
We
mammals
do. We
on
do.
Distill Social.
But before we close out, so I just wanted to say I'm pretty sure that raccoon is running the simulation that we're in at the moment, and I'd like to, if we need to
gotta
capture,
sober him up.
We've got to sober him up. But I do want to say a quick shout out to all of this week we had Giving Tuesday,
Yes.
and I want to say a big thank you to everyone that donated to Distill Social for Giving Tuesday. Keep it up. You're doing a great job. No, but thank you so much. We really appreciate it. This is hard work, and we all know that podcasting doesn't pay.
No, it doesn't.
And we did have a Substack that came out on Giving Tuesday, basically highlighting the fact that we are definitely under attack by right-wing media here in Michigan, and at Distill Social we're trying really hard to sort of counter that and give people an option which is giving you information about what's actually going on in Michigan from a political perspective and keeping you up to date. And we fully intend to do that well into 2026, into the midterms. So I just want a big shout out to all of those donors. Thank you so much.
Good job. Keep it up. Well, this has been a really great conversation today that we've had, but it's wonderful to see you all. And thank you all to our listeners out there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share wherever you get your podcasts. Signing out. See you next Thursday.
Bye.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Point of Disorder. We'd like to extend a huge thank you to everyone who listened today. And if you like us, give us a like, a subscribe, or a review on any place you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Distill Social and at The Guerrilla Politic. This is the Point of Disorder podcast, signing off. Stay sharp, stay progressive, and above all, stay tuned.